the outset, can I welcome the witnesses and to repeat what I've said several times when the witnesses are in. We all want this hospital built, I can tell you, as quickly as possible, because we're all dealing with children who need better health care and better health outcomes, and we also all know that when the hospital is built, it will provide very significant additional capacity for children. So we're all, I hope, on the same page that we want this built as quickly as possible. Can I just ask Mr. Gunning a number of questions for clarity purposes? So the overall approved total programme cost for the hospital, according to the most recent information that I've been given through a PQ, is 1.73 billion, of which 1.433 billion is the approved capital cost. Now, I know the 1.7 includes all of the sites and the electronic health records and all of that, but the capital element of that is 1.433, isn't that correct?
That's correct, Deputy.
Okay. And when you say in your opening statement that you've submitted a capital request to the HSE to ensure that there are sufficient funds, have you sought additional capital funding beyond that 1.433 billion that would then push the overall total programme cost of 1.7 beyond that 1.73 figure?
We have, yeah, correct. We have sought funds in addition to the 1.43.
In addition, more money. So when you talked earlier about following the money, I just want to be clear that the most recent information we've been given, total programme cost 1.73 billion, total capital 1.433 billion. You're telling us that you have sought more money beyond what was already agreed in terms of those figures.
That's correct. And I think we at various committees, we have said this is going to take longer and cost more.
No, but this is new information. You've sought more. How much have you sought? How much additional funding?
Well, I don't believe it's new information. Right, there's the 1.433 that the development board is expending on the cost of the capital cost, and then you have the CHI costs. I can only speak about the 1.433.
Mr. Gunning, all of the PQs, and I'm sure every member here has submitted them, we get back responses. The government have been on their feet, ministers have been on their feet, talking about a figure of 1.73 billion. What you're telling me here today, whether you believe it's new news or not, is that you have sought additional funding, right?
Correct. That is correct, okay. Absolutely.
So what I'm asking is, how much additional funding have you sought?
We have made our capital submission to the lead director of the HSE, which is our governance requirements. And this now will require government sanction. And I don't propose, Deputy Cullinane, to go through any details on that in terms of what.
But we certainly know it's more money. And then when you talk about the claims, so there's €756 million worth of claims, and that's the valuation put on it by the contractor.
Correct.
And there are a lot of contractors on site here. It's not just BAM. There's a lot of subcontractors, some of them fairly big as well. Would they submit claims through BAM?
Under the contract, our contract is with BAM, so we would receive.
No, I understand that.
We receive claims from BAM, but yes, a number of them would be
through BAM, and they would be subcontracted.
Well, again, BAM is responsible for dealing with its subcontract.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But just for clarity.
But are you of a mind to do a deal with BAM and to meet them and try and resolve these issues in one go? Like, is there any plan at all to say, right, we have all of these claims, let's sort them out, let's deal with this? Are you planning to engage with them on this?
We have been engaging with the contractor in a very intensive fashion, and our door is certainly open to engage and continue to engage with the contractor.
And would that involve doing a deal on this?
What we want is certainty on the date.
Will it involve doing a deal on these claims?
We will go into discussions with the contractor with a view to finding what we think is the best outcome for the state.
I'll take that as a yes.
We're open to see where we can go with this.
Okay, can I move on to the operating theatres, because I will come in a second time and I have more information on the claims. We have very limited time. Can you confirm that on the 11th and the 12th of May in 2022 that STS Consultants carried out an inspection on site on the operating theatres?
I can confirm that.
You can confirm that, okay.
Yeah.
Can you also confirm that on the 30th of May they would have submitted a report to yourselves and to Children's Health Ireland that there was potential problems with airflow and air circulation in 11 of the operating theatres?
We know the report you're referring to.
But I'm asking, can you confirm it?
Well, I've seen the report, yes.
Yeah, okay. So you can confirm that they did in May of 2022. That
yes,
was the
correct.
first report.
Absolutely. Sorry.
Can you confirm that on the 26th and 27th of October in 2022 that they carried out a second inspection?
I think that's correct, yeah.
That's correct, yes. Can you also confirm then that they sent a report on the 17th of November
2022.
Correct.
Maybe you can take over.
Isn't that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And in that report, and I just want to read some of what's in the report. So this is what the second report says. It was issued to Children's Health Ireland and to representatives of the board as well. It says the theatre ventilation progress was particularly disappointing. None of the issues raised following our previous visit have been addressed, and some new ones were discovered. We have listed below some issues of particular concern and will result in the installation failing to be accepted as fit for purpose and compliant at final validation. Isn't that what it says?
It does, but Deputy, I must
No,
go back.
but I'm asking what it says.
No,
I'm going to give you a chance to respond to it, but I'm asking,
Okay.
I just need you to confirm that what I'm reading out here is correct.
Correct. You
okay.
have the report, yeah.
It goes on to say that the air distribution of air within the theatre will be compromised by this layout, and to make a bad situation worse, in some cases the theatre supply air terminal is effectively in a corner. Doesn't it say that?
It does.
And then it also says that the foregoing lists, when it lists all of the difficulties, should not be seen as exhaustive. They say they are not snagging lists, but rather indicative of major generic faults.
The
Isn't that what
report
they
says
say?
that. I agree. Yes, the report says
Major
that.
generic faults, non-compliance, unresolved issues found during the walkarounds. They also say the longer that these issues take to get resolved, the more expensive and time-consuming it will become. Isn't that what it says?
Yes, that's what the report says.
So more expensive in layman's terms is more money. Time consuming is it's going to take longer to resolve. They go on to say if the present approach to the installation of the ventilation system serving the critical areas in this hospital is not corrected, the systems will fail the final validation and will not be fit to be taken into use. Isn't that what it says?
That's what the independent report says. Yeah.
And this, for me, sums up the Children's Hospital, to be honest, in a nutshell, the final paragraph. When the site visit was set up, it was intended to take 2 days, but because of the lack of progress on 1 day sufficed. Please note that the 2 days were programmed and the time allocated, flights booked and hotel accommodation reserved. We will therefore invoice accordingly. So they came to do 2 days inspection, didn't take them even 1 day because they were disappointed with the work that was done. Now, you said in response to me putting this information into the public domain that this was a minor problem. You're now telling us today that there are 2 expert groups, which I'm assuming that STS is one of them, that are looking at this. Can you also confirm that there was a direction given as well? So we also know that there was a direction given to, an employer representative direction given on the 29th of May to stop works in 11 of the operating theatres.
Just for clarity, the second expert is actually our design team.
I know. And
okay, just for clarity.
Yes, but the design team, potentially there's a problem that falls back on the design team.
Yeah, the design
what you brought in are experts that are independent to examine this, and they've found that there's a major problem.
And Deputy, there has to be context to that. It's important that you hear the context around bringing those experts in. Like, we set out very early in the project back in 2017 with CHI to bring in 5 experts across 5 key areas of the hospital: ventilation, water, electrical, medical gases, and there are 4 specialist fit-outs in the hospital for laboratories. We brought in 5 experts, okay? And those experts reviewed the design back in 2017 and 2018, okay? And that went through with flying colours, okay? And there they are now looking at the construction. So the reason we did that was that we identified through international lessons learned on large healthcare projects that there have been problems internationally with large hospitals. And try to avoid that, we brought in these experts.
And
So
I've given you the time to say that, but with respect, and I have to put this to you, and I'm putting this to Mr. Gunning, because you're the CEO. This was a company brought in by CHI. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, with our cooperation.
I understand that, but I'm saying it was CHI that would have brought them in, essentially, with your, of course, support, and they're experts.
It was agreed between CHI and MPHTV that we were bringing.
I understand. If you allow me to put the question, I'm accepting all of that. I'm saying they were brought in as experts by CHI and supported by yourselves. Okay, they reported in May and said there's a problem. They came back in October and they were obviously hugely upset about the fact that the works weren't done. They then report back in November and they identify more problems, and in fact they say this is very disappointing, the work hasn't been done. You then issue a stop notice, essentially, a prior directive in May of the following year, and then you issue a change order where you ask a number of contractors essentially to go into conclave to sort this out. So that change order that asks for workshops to be established, are those workshops up and running?
Okay, so just so you understand the timing here, okay? So back in May 22, the SDS didn't say they said, I'll read it because you have the report. Many of the theatre supply air diffusers appear to be positioned close to the theatre walls. The efficient distribution of air within the theatre may be compromised by the layout. So they didn't say there's any generic faults, as you read out in the November report. They did say that in the November report, okay? So once we got those reports, Deputy, our design team, who are responsible for the design of the theatres, reviewed them, okay? Our design team told us that the theatres, the performance of the theatres were in accordance with the HTM, HBN guidance documents. They are guidance documents, they are not standards. They are guidance documents, okay? The design team then went off and did industry-recognised computer modelling to prove and demonstrate that those theatres, with the grills in the position they are in, perform equally or better than stated in the HDM guidance.
But the problem here is that I can only go on the information that we have, which is that we have an independent expert that was brought in that clearly has a different view, that clearly is not satisfied with the air circulation,
Correct.
which we know is really important in operating theatres. I just want to make one final point, Chair, if I can. My point is that there are now workshops established. Can you confirm that BAM would be in those workshops, but there are also other major contractors, mechanical and engineering, that would form part of those workshops?
Further to doing that CFD analysis, computer analysis and physical testing on the site, SDS wrote to CHI and said they believe the grills need to be moved. Okay.
Well, no, that's not the question I asked.
I'm getting to the workshop. Just give me a minute, please.
But I don't have a lot of time. I'm asking you a direct question.
Right. And after that, okay, so we have a difference of opinion between the SDS as experts and our design team, Arab, who are also experts at a huge, big, global, multinational company, right? And after that, we asked, because we're looking at different options for the resolution of this issue, under the guidance of our design team, who are responsible, we asked the contractors and the M&E subcontractors to engage in workshops to see what the impacts will be if we instructed the grills to be
And
moved.
I've given you time to say that. No, but I need to just clarify this. So those experts, those contractors are now in workshops. So they haven't reported back.
They have completed those workshops.
Have completed them.
Yes.
Have they reported back?
We have sketch proposals that are complete, which are our design team, M&E designer, have looked at those, and we are reviewing those sketch proposals on the impacts of moving the grills.
Roisin.
As one of 3 options.